first definition was? Participate?
Participate, to drive away or dispel by, or as in dispersion, rout, scatter.
Scatter. So that's scatterbrain, that's driving away instead of pulling together, instead of concentrating, it's dissipating. Okay, great. What do you have, Evelyn?
I have the word distract,
Okay.
and it says to draw away or divert, to divide, to disturb or trouble greatly in mind.
Wow. Is that all? What's distraction?
Distraction is the act of distracting, the state of being distracted, mental distress or derangement, that which divides the attention or prevents concentration.
That which divides the attention or prevents concentration. Now, can anything really divide your attention without your permission?
No.
Uh-uh. You can be on a sinking ship and still playing the violin. Now that would be concentration to destruction. It might be a good idea to be distracted temporarily, to go, hey, does anyone got a life jacket?
The wood?
Yeah. Well, or not, it's really not that you're distracted, it's that you change your focus. You just move from this issue that you're focused on to another issue that you're focused on, where you stay in control. There are factors that would want to distract one. Read that again, that definition again, distract. And you have it there too? Yeah. Yeah, great. Read yours again, Evelyn, please. Distraction, both of them.
Distract is, okay, to draw away or divert as the mind or attention, to divide, to disturb or trouble greatly in mind, and then distraction is the act of distracting, the state of being distracted, mental distress or derangement, that which divides the attention or prevents concentration.
See what?
That's it.
What do you have, Chuck?
I got some good ones. Distract, to cause to turn away from the original focus or attention or interest, to sidetrack, divert. Distraction, the act of distracting or the condition of being distracted, a diversion from an original focus, anything that compels attention or distracts, especially an amusement.
Yeah, pleasure and pressure. Both of those would be distraction. So now we see sin. Because to sin is to what?
Gets you off the mark. Or
To miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And you could miss the mark by being
Distracted. Not focused.
Distracted. You're not focused, so you miss the mark. And it's sin because you have the ability to focus. Since the mind is the one thing that God has given us that we can absolutely control.
Also, there's number 3 says extreme mental or emotional disturbance.
And we know emotional is because of the commotion of the mind. So it's still in the same situation. Mental disturbance. Distracted. Devil spirits distract people. They're trying to do this, that, and the other. And then like the man at the tombs, the devil was caught him. Devil spirit caught him. How? By the mind. Controlled his mind. He's going along, focused on going to get a burger, and then here comes this distracting thought. It's distracted to the point of controlling. Because he was open, somehow he got open, he could be distracted at any time, because devil spirits then could take control. Read your definition again, because yours had that aspect of we're of control. Go ahead. It wasn't the word.
The act of distraction. The act of distracting or the condition of being distracted, a diversion from an original focus. Anything that compels attention.
Compels attention. There's a devil spirit that does that. There's a suicide spirit which does that as well, it gets attention. But there's a spirit that doesn't, that's not a suicide spirit. Because a suicide spirit, you end up committing suicide. You die. And there are other spirits where people attempt suicide, but something always happens when it doesn't happen. Someone always comes along, or someone comes home just in time. That is a devil spirit that's just distracting. It's getting attention. It's diverting attention from an original focus. It's a distraction. Believers do this as well. So when they have these kinds of spirits involved, you're teaching the word, and there's a distraction. Now, I'm not saying every distraction is devil, so let's be clear on that. But believers can get their attention diverted, and then they divert the attention of what's going on. And believers can seriously be in that kind of category where they don't get anything done because they get distracted spiritually. So it can happen both just from physical stuff like the phone. It can happen also from a spiritual cause. Compelled. I love that use there. Compelled. Read that definition again.
Anything that compels attention or distracts, especially an amusement. Extreme mental or emotional disturbance. Obsession.
Obsession. How do you like that? And there is an obsession devil spirit. Obsessed. There's oppressed, depressed. See? Was that all in there? Mm-hmm. Any synonyms? Did you see synonyms or anything? What about the etymology? Do you have an etymology?
You'll see synonyms that forgetful, for distracted.
Mm. Yeah, what about etymology? Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Middle English, distracten, from Latin, distractive fear, past participle, distractus, to pull apart, draw away.
Pull apart, draw away. Oh man, that's great. Go ahead and look up forgetful. Let's see what synonyms are in.
I'm sorry, what?
Did you get distracted?
No, I forgot.
I wonder if distracted shows up in the word as that word.
I thought about that just now, and I have never seen it, but it might be in Golden Gate.
The synonyms of forgetful, or the meaning of the word forgetful, tending or likely to forget, neglectful.
No. Just go straight. Does it have a list of synonyms?
Yeah.
Okay, go straight to those.
Forgetful, unmindful, oblivious, abstracted, absent-minded, distracted. These
Hold on, I'm going to ask you to read those again. Unmindful. Oh, unmindful ones. Where was that? Oh, fools, and slow of heart to believe all that was written by the prophet. Remember, Jesus Christ on the road to Emmaus meets the two men, and they go, are you a stranger and you don't know what's going on? And what thing? Blah, blah, blah. We thought it was he who, was going to deliver Israel. He goes, oh, fools. Fools was, oh, unmindful ones. That means they were distracted. The Word had said, there's a perfect example, isn't it? Jesus Christ had said to the disciples, I'm going to die, but I'm coming back. I'm going to be up in 3 days and 3 nights. And it's important because if I don't die, mankind has lost. You're screwed. You may as well commit Harry right now. If I don't do this thing, nobody gets anywhere. So Sure enough, he's going through it, and while he's going through it, they're distracted to the point that some of them end up going, we thought he was the one. And he's right there walking with them. They're unmindful, they're distracted, they're forgetful. Distraction does appear in the word. What's the other?
Oblivious.
Read. Go back to the start of that. Read those again. There's another.
Forgetful.
Forgetful, we know that appears in the word. What else?
Unmindful.
Unmindful, I just handled.
Oblivious.
Okay.
Abstracted. Absent-minded.
Keep going.
Distracted. These adjectives refer to failure to remember or to lack of awareness or attentiveness.
Okay.
You want to read on?
Yeah.
Forgetful usually implies a faulty memory or at least a tendency not to remember. Less often it is used as the equivalent of unmindful, which applies principally to one's failure in a specific instance. To keep in mind what should be remembered through deliberate oversight, heedlessness, or inattentiveness. Oblivious strictly refers to failure to remember or to be aware of something, often because one is preoccupied in another direction.
Look up oblivion. Go ahead.
Less strictly, the term is applied not to failure to remember a specific thing, but to general unresponsiveness to.
Or oblivious? So when we shared, once you know the word, once you're taught under this teaching ministry, and you walk away, it's oblivion. So read oblivious again, Chuck. That one.
Oblivious strictly refers to failure to remember or to be aware of something, often because one is preoccupied in another direction. Less strictly, the term is applied not to failure to remember a specific thing, but to general unresponsiveness to or unawareness of one's surroundings.
Read oblivion.
Oblivion. The state of being forgotten as by the public. The state of forgetting or of being mentally withdrawn
That's it? Chuck will put up later. What does it come from? You have some etymology?
obliv, to forget, obliv, to darken, forget, is livery of living. Livery is to darken. The oblieve is to forget.
Really? And livery is darkened?
To darken.
Okay. Wow. That's not good. Okay, go ahead. Finish what you were doing at the first Chuck. Are you? Yeah, go ahead and do oblivion if you've got it. Go ahead.
Oblivion, the state or condition of being completely forgotten. Forgetfulness for an instant, or forgetting or overlooking. That was oblivion. Oblivious, lacking all memory of something. Forgetful, unaware or unmindful. You just a blank.
And what's the etymology yours have?
From Middle English, Old French, from Latin, oblivio, from oblivi,
Give it a shot.
obliviisque,
Okay.
to forget.
Does yours have darkened too in there? To forget. But I can understand darkened. That section of your brain is darkened. That section of your mind is darkened. It's like leaving something in a corner of a room. It's just, you got more? Okay, go back to where you were and finish up those sentences. You can always come back later and always great words.
What was I forgetful?
This is how you build your vocabulary. Yeah, forget.
The synonyms that forgetful,
Okay,
going back
yeah.
to oblivious?
Yeah, do oblivious one more time. That's kind of heavy.
Oblivious strictly refers to failure to remember or to be aware of something, often because one is preoccupied in another direction. Less strictly, the term is applied not to failure to remember a specific thing, but to general unresponsiveness to or unawareness of one's surroundings.
Boy.
Abstracted
Go ahead.
implies mental withdrawal as a result of preoccupation elsewhere. Absent-minded suggests such preoccupation often chronic to the point that one fails to remember or react haltingly. Haltingly.
Man, oh man, if you don't keep God first,
The
huh?
ordinary demands of attention.
Read that again then?
Absent, was it absent?
Abstract.
Distracted.
No, you're not distracted.
Oh, abstracted implies mental withdrawal as a result of preoccupation elsewhere.
That's all?
Well, then the next was absent-minded.
Oh, okay, absent-minded.
Absent-minded suggests such preoccupation, often chronic, to the point that one fails to remember or reacts haltingly to ordinary demands on attention. Distracted implies diversion of attention from matters at hand.
Diverting of attention from matters at hand.
And sometimes results confusion.
Okay, read the whole thing in one sentence. Not haltingly.
Start back to forget, the synonyms of forgetful.
No, just that last one. Just
Oh, okay. Abstracted.
No, distracted.
Distracted implies diversion of attention from matters at hand, and sometimes resultant confusion or agitation.
Sometimes what? Go ahead.
R-E-S-U-L-T-A-N-T.
Resultant.
Resultant confusion or agitation.
We'll have to say resultant in.
Resultant confusion and agitation. Or agitation.
Okay, and we're missing some word because it's not fitting according to grammar. So read that one more time.
Okay. Distracted
Distracted.
implies diversion or attention from matters at hand, and sometimes resultant confusion or agitation.
Oh, okay. Resultant, which is just result in confusion or agitation because they're distracted. So they're distracted, and someone goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Huh? What? Hey, leave me alone." Daydreaming. This is some of the things that Dr. Earl talks about in Lifestyle of a Believer, which we'll take a look at. But look at that. It's not to say it's not focused. Here, the word distraction is the word aperistastos, without drawing from around. Hence, without distraction. It's used without distraction in 1 Corinthians 7:35. With distraction, it would be peristastos, which would be distraction. Peri, remember peri, perimeter, it's looking all around, or drawing from around. Distraction. This particular is without distraction. What's the usage? Talking about marriage. Go ahead. Read that out, please.
1 Corinthians 7:35.
Uh-huh.
And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, And that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction.
So,
Wow.
yeah, quite a challenge. When you're married, especially, oh man, this is a whole other direction. Because if someone's married, first of all, being married, period, you're going to be distracted. Why? From the matters of the Lord. Why?
Because your husband is head.
Or your wife.
Or your wife. Yeah, and you have to, take care of.
Yeah, there's things you got to take care of. The Word tells you in that chapter, you got a wife, you're going to be distracted because the demands the wife may have, vice versa, demands the husband may have. It goes both ways. It's not that, well, if I'm a wife, I'm distracted because I have to take care of my husband. Well, if you're a husband, you're distracted because you got to take care of your wife. So you're distracted.
She is very care for the things of the world.
Right. How she may please her husband, vice versa for the guy. Anyway, you're being distracted. See, I use that all the time. If it's someone that doesn't believe the Word at all or doesn't really have the same goals to move the Word, you're going to be really distracted, aren't you? You're going to be distracted, period.
Right.
But you're going to be really distracted. Now, at least if it's someone who has the same goals to move the Word, you can work together until moving the Word is your common purpose. Mm-hmm. And then instead of being distracted from that, you can help each other concentrate on that. You become now two beams of light on the same focus. And that is very powerful because it comes down to the, if any two do what?
Agreed.
You talk about power that can be there when we're focused on the same goal, moving the Word. It could be even more power in that sense of two beams of light focused, like we learned about. Or to bring all efforts, faculties, activities, man, efforts, faculties, gotta be interesting there, etc., finances, things, etc., to bear on one thing or activity. That's that concept then of everything towards service to others rather than himself, developing that service to others rather than himself. Moving the Word, putting that all into moving the Word can accomplish some tremendous. That means the Apostle Paul must have been tremendously focused until he got distracted with Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a distraction. Any disagreement?
No, absolutely not.
So, boy, look at that. See, if the husband and wife, and just getting married, they're going to have some work to do. There's going to be some time there. Even if they were both into moving the Word, they still are dealing with the distraction of each other. First you're in bed by yourself, you fart whenever you want. First year of marriage, you try not to fart in front of your mate. By the second year, you're farting just as much as you wanted to before. Or whatever. Man, this is something. Really something.
That's the word, and that's the only place it's used in the Word.
That word, as translated distraction, it may be used in another place. For that, we'd have to look it up in there, and I'll see if there's look it up in the Word Study Concordance, and I'll see if it appears. We're talking about now this distraction and care and focus and these types of things, and we're dealing right now with the distraction come up in the Word. Of course, it does come up in the Word. Without distraction comes up, the opposite being distracted, and we found that word is a word that deals with peri, which is around, and having anxious care. So anyway, everyone go ahead. Read, start where you start at the beginning of that. Time has come.
1 Corinthians 7 and verse 27. Art thou bound unto a wife, seek not to be loose. Art thou loose from a wife, seek not a wife. But, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. Verse 29, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Verse 30, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. Verse 31, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. 32, but I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried, careth for the things that belong to the Lord.
Okay, hold on. I would have you without carefulness.
26, number 26, 275.
Carefulness is studi, to care, and now number 2. Studi, haste, speed, readiness, zeal, pains, trouble, and earnest, serious purpose. I would have you without. Yeah, this puts all these things together. Studi is a twofold, diligent effort, brevity of time.
Right.
Okay. And then you said it's not abusing the world, and that's to use over much. Katakraome, it's to abuse, to use over much, to get so involved in the world. Go ahead. Read that verse again. That one.
But I would have you without carefulness.
Okay.
He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. Verse 33. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. 34. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. 35. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. Verse 36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin.
Okay, that's fine. Is that 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians?
1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians 7. I have it here in the interlinear. 35. You started at 27. Hast thou been bound to a wife?
Mm-hmm. Not
Bound. That doesn't sound good. Hast thou been bound to a wife? Is it bound in the King
Yes.
James? Oh man. Seek not to be loosed. Oh no. Hast thou been loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. But if also thou mayest have married, thou didst not sin. It's in a different tense. And if may have married the virgin, not she did sin, but tribulation. There's philipsine. This is mental pressures in the flesh shall have such, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the season straitened, short. So the rest is that even those having wives, as not having, And those weeping is not weeping, rejoicing, buying, is not possessing, and those using this world is not using it as their own. Abusing it as using it as their own is one definition. For passes away the fashion, scheme of this world. But I wish you without care, and that's that word, without distracting care all around that draws you away, disperses, remember? To be. The unmarried cares for the things of the Lord. Now that's an interesting word for cares because it's merimna, or actually merimna, which is that same word for anxious. It's the same word translated anxious. It's the same word translated, what was that? Be careful for nothing, that careful. So the unmarried is anxious for the things of the Lord. What an interesting usage. How he may please the Lord. He's distracted away from the world to the Lord. Interesting use of the word. He's distracted away from the world, or he's anxious about doing the things of God, doing the things of the Lord. It's interesting that it's put that way. Mary was careful, anxious about much serving. Jesus Christ said, one thing is needful. Well, please the wife. But he that is married cares, same word, merimna, for the things of the world, cosmos, the cosmos, the ordered universe. Of his ordered universe would be, in this case, it would be a microcosm, how he shall please the wife. Well, things of the world. Please the Lord, please the wife, and vice versa, same thing for the husband. Care for the things of the world, how she shall please the husband. That word please, arese. Actually, aresi. I don't know what that means. She should please. Well, distracting, focus. Okay, that's going to come up. How we got there, God only knows. Did we ever see the word? Yeah, we saw analyze.
Just quit reading, yeah.
We saw analyze. That's how we got there. Well, this is one world, but the spiritual is superior to the material. Believing is the title deed to things prayed for. The evidence they are yours before they are seen. Boy, talk about focus and the need to focus in believing. And we're taught, of course, about that in the Blue Book, Release from Your Prisons. So skimming through some more on this page 43, two kinds of knowledge in the world. We know that one kind of knowledge deals with the information gathered via the senses, called natural knowledge. Another kind of knowledge has to do with the spirit, called spiritual knowledge, and that knowledge is from the Word of God, number one. Number two, revelation in specific situations. Spiritual hunger is as real as the physical or mental hunger. You live by both. Jesus knew this. Man shall not live by bread alone. Every word. See it? Difficult for most men to learn the faith or spirit side. You know, we use the example in the class of the crooked handlebars, but there are a lot of tremendous examples in our lives in dealing with situations, circumstances. I remember the other day, it was just wonderful. I was trying to reach someone on the phone, and I kept calling a number that was busy, and I had to get a hold of them. So before I called the next time, I spoke in tongues and thanked God for getting through in the name of Jesus Christ, and sure enough, called and got through. Now, I know other times I've done that and not gotten through. I didn't really need to get through. I just wanted to. But, you know, it's neat to be able to think about, hey, let's use the name whenever we can. Let's speak in tongues wherever we can. And switch to using the faith side rather than the faith or the spirit side, faith of Jesus Christ, spirit side of life, rather than just the natural. And to put that into practice. Like you were saying to, I think it was Christy, Chuck, between every phone call, she ought to speak in tongues. Then get on the phone, then speak in tongues again and get on the phone. That's great practice for all of us. It would be a great trigger to remember whenever you pick up the phone to speak in tongues before you answer, or whenever you're dialing, speak in tongues before you say, yes, I'm trying to reach Billy Bob or whoever. Just some of these triggers to learn to live that way in every kind of situation, before a meeting, during a meeting, to be speaking in tongues. Man, just to remember those things and to set up our own mental triggers so we're not in oblivion, so we're not forgetful. You know, we could have it every time we hand out a business card to remember to speak in tongues. Certain things we could just trigger in our mind that every time we do a certain thing we speak in tongues. I have those, you have those, but to expand those on the web, on the computer, you know, before you open an email, whatever, to start triggering our minds on more and more things to keep us focused on the things of God rather than distracted by the world and into sin, missing the mark. Boy, every day when you think of the things in the day that you want to get accomplished, because if we don't focus, even having all the great intentions and all the great power, you think about someone like Serena Williams in tennis. Perhaps, I would say, beyond perhaps, the most powerful or the strongest woman in women's tennis. She doesn't necessarily have the fastest serve, but it's probably second fastest. Venus still has the fastest, so she's powerful, and she's long and has some flexibility and movement beyond Serena. But Serena has tremendous twitch reflex and power, you know, in the game. But if she gets distracted, it was talking on, I should have just printed this out and brought it down for you, but the quote was, Serena must stay focused. She must forget about the past game with Justine Inna Ardern, so as not to get emotional about that game. The quote was something like that. Why? Because you get distracted and you get emotional about, you know, losing that other game and thinking about how she raised her hand and you still served and you didn't get that back, and the crowd going against you and booing you and all these things, and the emotion comes up and now you're distracted. Like it talks about, like Dr. Werrell talked about in the syllabus, or somewhere he talked about it. At least in the class when I teach it, I remember talking about this. Well, I guess it's not in the syllabus, I just quoted. The quote is, a man may be loaded with all the power of God, but unless he renews his mind, that power won't come into operation. Something like that. A man may be loaded with all the power of God, like Serena is loaded with power as a tennis player, or even as Jesus Christ was loaded with power, but he still had to focus. We are loaded, stacked, jammed, clothed with power from on high. Or as it was put here, the power of the new birth is in the renewing of the mind. The life and nature of God in you at the time of the new birth is the potential to power, the door to it. It's the potential to power, right? It's just the door to it. The power of the new birth is in the renewing of the mind, knowing what you have received and are in Christ Jesus. This is something we have to learn to focus on. And that's that, with all we've learned about focus as opposed to being distracted, being coerced away, or, well, there you have it again. You're either going to be pressured off of it or pleasured off of it with diversions. Remember that word that talked about pleasures? Dissipate. Someone can dissipate. I've seen this in people's lives. A guy who was a high-class pimp that I used to do business with, barter business, not the pimping business. Anyway, I just noticed how this guy would he would just dissipate. He's there doing business. Next thing you know, he goes, he'd just get up and walk away, and we find out that he had gone upstairs to hang out with his whores and screw them or something, or whatever else he was doing, and we're sitting there at a business meeting talking about, you know, doing a deal on a hotel accommodations or some other kind of deal, or phone cards or internet, something or other. He's totally dissipated. Just the thought came, you know, I think I'll go out and hang out with the whores upstairs or whatever. His call girls. So he'd be gone. We'd go, We think he's just gone to the bathroom. An hour would go, we're sitting, we're looking around, we're thinking, and we're talking in a conversation. What? Next thing you know, it's like, wait a second, where is this guy? And so we're like, where is this guy? So it's not to mention his name.
No.
But, and he's upstairs. And, what in the heck is going on here? So we call up there. Finally, one of us would go up and knock on the door and go, hey. He's okay, I'll be down a little bit. Yeah, It's like, holy smokes, this is a business meeting. It was just that's that dissipation, that word from pleasure, where you're just so distracted you don't even know what's going on. You're in oblivion. You're oblivious to the situation. That would happen to him in other situations in meetings. Happens to believers. They get so distracted away from who they are. I love all those definitions. I don't remember all right now, but they were so apropos that I could just put names there with people being distracted to the point of oblivion. It's not that they really forgot, it's just that they got other stuff going on that has them, but it happens little by little. Something takes them away where other things are going on, and they're not even conscious of who they are in Christ. At that, it's not that they've forgotten totally that they're a Christian, it's that it's not an issue right now. All these other things are issues. And whenever they want to get back to the Word, here's another issue to take them back, to catch them. Oh no, you're not leaving the tombs. We need you here. Oh no. Caught him. Distracted. So for us, staying focused primarily on who we are, no matter what the situation around. I thought of another focused situation. Satan desires to sift you as wheat, Peter. He wants to take you and just shove you through, sift you, separate you out. I don't know, whatever else. But I think about these things. There's another one, boy, that's tremendous along these lines of someone being distracted. Oh, remember they were distracted in the garden. He says, watch, stay awake, stay alert. See, we can use stay focused, watch. So he comes back there asleep. They got distracted by all the pain and grief of losing the Lord Jesus Christ, and he's going to be gone, and we thought it was him, and they finally just went to sleep, couldn't handle it. So he wakes them up. Hey, I need you guys to pray with me right now. Don't you know what I'm going through? And so watch. Could you not watch an hour? He leaves again, and they go to sleep again. Finally, the third time when they go to sleep, he says, sleep on. There, it's a figure. Because the soldiers come. He knows it's not time to sleep physically anymore, but they were asleep at the switch mentally. They were already distracted. The next things that would happen, they were not ready for. And so, what happened? Peter makes a move he shouldn't have. Jesus Christ has to correct it. And when they let him away, the other guys, now they literally are distracted, dispersed. They leave. Distraction. Man, it's something else, as opposed to being focused on the Word, specifically focused on who we are. That should be such an ever-present reality. And initially, these types of things you have to deliberately focus on. Like, now are we the sons of God? Oh, but Lord, I don't feel like it. Now are we the sons of God? Oh, but Lord, I didn't do it. Now are we the sons of God? Now are we the sons of God? Now are we the sons of God? Remember, I am more than a conqueror. I have conquered the world. I am righteous until it becomes a part of our fiber. Just as your name is Chuck. You don't have to think, what's your name? You don't have to think about it. What's your mom's name? You don't have to think about it. It should be like that in our life. But initially, you and I, we have to do that kind of work. Work it. Work our minds, work our minds. So that we don't go through this kind of work when we're in the trenches. Now it's time, it's showtime, and you're still working, you're still practicing who you are. No, we practice who we are all the time, when we're not in the trenches. Anyway. Yep. Huh. I wrote a note. You have to really, really desire to walk by the Spirit and put yourself on the line to do it. To walk by the Spirit. Put yourself on the line to walk by the Spirit. You have to really, really desire. Again, like in athletics, like in sports, so apropos. Richard Williams had said about his daughter Venus. Now, I think she's going to win this year in Wimbledon, but I could be wrong. Richard is definitely more on top of where his daughters are. He says, Venus doesn't have the desire to beat her sister anymore. You know, she keeps defaulting to, I want to help my little sister. Well, I help her by leading by example. Show her, look, here's what you got to do to beat somebody. I'm going to show you by